Welcome, welcome back to the channel, The Real Ish. All right, we're gonna jump right into this video because it's the reason you clicked on it. All right, by the title, you see who we are going to be discussing right now. We're going to be discussing the Jigsaw killer from the Saw franchise. And if you don't know the Jigsaw killer, aka John Kramer, all right, that's his real name. We're gonna jump into this. If you watched my last video, I discussed how I had a villain in mind and I was going to make a video about this person. Didn't really have anybody to pit this person against, to say versus. So I wanted to dedicate a whole video to this villain, and it is John Kramer, the Jigsaw killer. All right, so let's get right into this video. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to really touch on, is John Kramer really a bad guy? Do you consider him to really be a killer? And then I'm also going to touch on why is he such a good villain, okay? So let's just jump right into it. So I just want to, type some things in, do a little research and see what comes up. It says John Kramer, Jigsaw, is definitively a villain and a serial killer, but he's portrayed with a complex, sympathetic backstory and twisted morality, leading some fans to view him as an anti-hero or a man with misguided purpose rather than pure evil. All right, so let's pause on that. So let's also discuss, what is John Kramer's background? All right, so his backstory. John Kramer, the man behind the Jigsaw persona in the Saw franchise, was a brilliant civil engineer and property developer whose life crumbled after losing his unborn child and being diagnosed with terminal cancer. If you've seen the Saw and any of these movies, you would know this information. It says, leading to develop a twisted philosophy and test people's will to live through deadly games to teach them to appreciate life. Before his transformation, he was a respected builder for low-income housing with his wife, Jill, but a tragic attack on Jill by one of her clinic's patients, followed by his terminal diagnosis and failed suicide attempt, shattered his world view. So that's the backstory on him. Okay, so continuing on, if he is a bad guy or not. So it says that, he had a little bit of sympathy for his backstory and all of that. It continues to say, especially in later films like Saw 10, where he's framed as a protagonist while he designs intricate traps to teach people to appreciate life, he kidnaps, he tortures, and indirectly causes deaths, making him a murderer by proxy, even if he claims he never directly kills anyone. So that's what I mean by, is he really a killer? Because like it states, he never actually directly kills anyone, but that doesn't mean he's not a killer, right? So I'm not saying he's not a killer. I was just curious to figure out, do other people consider him to be a killer? Because like in my mind, he never really directly killed anybody. I'm not justifying his choices and actions, but he's a very interesting villain, to say the least. Like, literally, he is. So, all right. So digging a little further, going on Reddit, someone says, is John the villain or an anti-hero? One of the best elements of the Saw franchise, and the reason why I love Saw 3 the most, is because of the humanity that it brings to John and other characters. Even I often toggle between whether I view John as a villain or an anti-hero. What do you guys think? I think that's my perspective on it too. Someone says he's a villain with a layered story. Regardless, he's a psychopath and a murderer. Somebody said I have to agree with that. Above all, I find myself marveling at the ability of the franchise to invoke empathy in the viewer. Impeccable, given how psychopathic John really is. A little difficult as it is to see, in reality, even the most psychopathic people are indeed as layered as John, if not more. Someone says villain for sure. Good intentions doesn't make someone anti-hero, in my opinion. Well, a villain with good intentions would make them an anti-villain. Very true. Kramer is completely delusional and hypocritical. His philosophy borrows from so many different aspects of cultures and ideologies. It says that is just a shallow clutter and vehicle to make people suffer and die in agonizing ways. He wants to be an artificial god of modern natural selection while also trying to cloak himself in the aura of righteousness. I see what that person's saying. Someone says John Kramer is a villain, of course, psychopathic serial killer. He was a villain until Saw 4, Jigsaw, where the writers made a piss poor choice of trying to pitch him as an anti-hero. So it's many people saying the same thing, that he is a villain nonetheless. Whether, it can't be a good villain, I don't know. But that's some of the things that are said about him, whether he's a villain, victim, however you want to see it. I gave a little bit of my opinion already, but I will go into more depth soon. Out of curiosity, I wanted to know, is John Kramer really a killer? It says, yes, John Kramer, the Jigsaw, is a killer, but he argues he only facilitates tests to make people appreciate life, never directly killing them, always giving a choice, though many of his traps are rigged or inescapable, leading to death, and he uses apprentices to carry out his work, making him a serial killer by definition. Despite his self-proclaimed moral justification, he places victims in deadly scenarios to teach them the value of their lives, often targeting those he deems wasteful, but his methods are cruel, and he's responsible for numerous deaths, even if he doesn't pull the trigger himself. So that's 100% correct. Like, I used to think, a long time ago, years ago, when I used to watch Saw, I was like, is he really a killer? He doesn't technically kill them, but he kidnaps these people, and even though a lot of these people are doing wrong, but like someone stated on Reddit, he can't play God. These people wouldn't be put in these situations and traps and things like that if it wasn't for him. So yes, he is the reason for all of this. So he is definitely a killer. I'm not saying he's not a killer. I'm just trying to, go in depth with some of his, whatever. Someone did a poll on Reddit asking, is John Kramer a killer? The poll is closed now. This is 3 years ago, but it says 559 people said yes, 72 people said no. So the total had 631 votes. Somebody said Detective Matthews was right. Putting a gun to someone's head and forcing them to pull the trigger is still murder. So that's basically saying he put them in these situations. He didn't actually shoot them, kill them, do things to them, but he put them in a situation where they said it's inescapable. You really can't escape his traps, So somebody said, if you say no, you're wrong. There's no real debate. So it's like you almost have to play this game, you're put in a situation, and then he plays on your mind. He really does. Like, if you've seen Saw, the first one, that one is got to be the best one to me, the top one. He played with their minds, and I can't even describe it. He just really got to them to the point where they're cutting off the doctor. He was in there with this other guy, and he got to them in the point where the guy had to cut off his foot. He plays with people's mind. He had it like, he just does things to get you to think and worry. He wants you to figure out. He want to play games, and the whole time, for example, he might have you looking around for something, and it's literally like somewhere where you can't reach it. Like, he'll plant something in your head or in your neck, or literally he might have something right there beside you the whole time and you just never knew it. And it's crazy, I can't really explain it if you haven't seen Saw, but it gets you. That first one really is one of the best ones, and that movie tripped me out also because the whole time when they're in there, they saw a man laid out on the ground, and like his head had been blown off, or he'd been shot or something like that. The whole time, this person you see in the movie look like they're dead, and then at the end you find out that it's John Kramer, the person that put them in there. That really tripped me out at the end. He gets up and he walks out and closes them in there. Like, it's crazy. So that really is how I was introduced to Saw, and it's been one of the best movies, newer franchises, because I love older movies, but I have to say that the Saw franchise is a really good franchise, and my brother really loves Saw, like, oh my goodness. But anyway, let's continue on why is John Kramer a good villain. All right, so it says he's a good villain. John Kramer is a compelling villain due to his complex motivations, terminal illness, perceived lack of appreciation for life, genius intellect as a strategist and engineer, charismatic yet chilling presence. Tobin Bell is the guy who plays him. and his role as a villain for villains, testing those he deems unworthy while creating elaborate symbolic traps that challenge traditional horror tropes. His philosophical, almost cult-like approach and the intricate, intelligent nature of his schemes even after death make him a memorable and deeply unsettling antagonist. That's telling you, like, right there. Someone on Reddit says John Kramer, one of the greatest villains of the new era horrors. Do you agree that John Kramer is one of the best villains of the modern era horror? I'm not talking about his vigilante persona that we experienced in the latest installments. I'm talking about the simplicity of his true motivation, testing people who don't appreciate their lives. They don't have to be bad people, they just don't appreciate their lives. Many of us don't, which I believe makes Jigsaw a great villain. All of us could become a target. Somebody said he certainly is, at least for the first 3 movies before the producers, writers turned him into an anti-hero. John Kramer in the first 3 films was always depicted as a clear villain of the story, and that was just so much more interesting than the anti-hero do-gooder that he became afterwards. The series moved away from the mantra of appreciating your life and made it so that Jigsaw just tests people who have done bad things. The producer started buying into Jigsaw's philosophy, as a brilliant editor put it, and thus they made him into a Dexter type character after Saw 3, and that flat out betrays what they intended to do with the character. Somebody said yes, he's great, until they completely convoluted and butchered his ideology. So I get what they're saying. In the first 3 ones, he remained, that whole, do you hate your life, do you unappreciate life? Because the fact that he lost his wife and I believe son, his child, I believe it just messed with him, and he sees other people complaining about things and not really appreciating life, and that's what they mean by, in the first 3 films, that's what he was about. And then in the other ones, he just became more about, people doing bad things. And so it's whatever way you want to take it, but I mean, some of these traps and contraptions and things he comes up with is just insane. I would have to say he's one of the smartest villains that I've ever seen, because he is smart. He was, like they said, an engineer. I don't know. That's why this whole video is dedicated to him by himself, because there's no one that I can pit against him. I mean, at least I can't think of anybody. But these Saw movies make you think, and this is why they're so good. Like in Saw 2, they have people that are brought together. It's like every movie, people are connected. A lot of the people that he put in these traps and things like that, they're connected some way or another. In Saw 2, all of these people were connected because they all had the same, I think they all been arrested by the same person or something like that. And then the son of the guy who arrested these people, he was there too, and they realized that that's how they were connected. Yeah, it says Saw 2, all the people were trapped in the nerve gas house because they were all framed and wrongfully convicted by the corrupt detective Eric Matthews, who is also being tested by Jigsaw alongside his own son. Yeah, and Amanda, that's the apprentice. But that's what I'm saying, like, everybody in these movies are connected. Even the first one, those 2 guys were connected in the first one. The 2 guys, they were connected. And Saw, the first one, everyone's connected through John Kramer, Jigsaw. He orchestrates the central bathroom game involving Dr. Lawrence, photographer Adam, and their investigator, David, Tapp, using Zip Handle as a pawn, and because they represent people who waste their lives, with Jigsaw's motive revealed as testing their will to live by forcing them to appreciate their own existence. The doctor cheated on his wife, leading him to be chosen by Jigsaw to test the appreciation for his life and family. The photographer was hired by Detective Tapp to spy on the doctor for cheating on his wife. And then the detectives, they're investigating the Jigsaw murders. This all connected. So these are why these 2 guys were in there together. You're cheating on your wife, and this is the guy who was following you to prove that you were cheating on your wife. Like, I can't make this up. And Jigsaw, this is what makes him brilliant. That's my opinion. I think that he is probably one of the best villains modern wise. So yeah, that's what I believe, and I just wanted to touch on this because I thought it was interesting, and I think a lot of people love Saw, and it's one of the greatest movies out there, franchises. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I haven't, I've seen some of the later ones, but I mean the first 3 ones are really the best to me. You know, sometimes they make stuff and go on and on with it, but I mean, still great. I can't keep up, but yeah. So let me know what you think about this video. Do you think that John Kramer, Jigsaw, is the perfect villain? Do you think he's even a villain? Do you think he's a victim? Do you think his actions are justified by the things that he went through? Let me know. I'm not saying that that's what I believe, but you know, I just think for movie wise, for him being a fictional character, I effing love it. So yeah, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and comment your thoughts down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. God bless.